Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in here to Power Up with Pride. We've got a Dragon Warrior randomizer race coming your way between Sylverfyre and Sparkover. Alongside Demarin, I'm Ferran Burgundy. We'll be calling the action here for you, and we have both of our racers here in the chat to start things off. And where exactly do we start with all this here?
Well, hi, I'm Syl, and I've been running Dragon Warrior Randomizer since some of the early beta versions, and it was pretty much my first randomizer, and it still is probably my best one as well, even though I play a lot of different randomizers.
Hi, I'm Sparkover. I probably have a very similar story. I was playing Dragon Warrior Randomizer since close to the beginning-ish of it, and it's probably my strongest one too. I don't play nearly as many randos though. Also bears.
Yep, and of course I am Demarin. I am here to run co-commentary. I am using the pronunciation her. And of course I'm way more known from the Final Fantasy 1 and 4 randomizer communities, but I'm here to have a good time and call what should be an excellent race between two members of the RPG Valkyries, two good friends, and two really good racers at this randomizer.
It most certainly is. Now, for those unfamiliar, the object of Dragon Warrior is for our racers to find and defeat the evil Dragon Lord. They will need to collect certain key items to trade in for the Rainbow Drop, how appropriately titled for here, which will allow the runners to enter Charlotte Castle, home of the Dragon Lord. They'll also be fighting enemies one at a time to gain experience and levels to get stronger, as well as gold to purchase weapons, armor, and items to help in their quest.
There's also a fairly good chance that they're going to die a few times along the way. This randomizer is pretty notorious for getting off to some interesting starts, without a doubt.
This is true. Now, this is a randomizer, and what is randomized in Dragon Warrior Randomizer? Quite a bit. The overworld map is randomized, as are the search spot contents and treasure chest contents, the locations of the towns and caves throughout the land, the contents of the weapon and armor shops, as well as the locations of the enemies, as well as the spells and abilities of the enemies. So, yes, you can tend to find some rather weaker enemies in the game with some rather potent spells that can lead to some of those early deaths. Also, the order in which our runners' spells will be learned is also randomized, though they are guaranteed to learn all 10 spells in the game by level 16. Plus that pesky Dragon Lord at the end, which has, in the vanilla version of the game, 130 hit points. Here in the randomizer has a range of anywhere from 150 to 165 hit points. So strategy definitely comes into play.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be explaining some of the more technical pieces as things go along, as our runners find their way. But if the two of them are ready, we should probably let them loose on Tangential Castle in the outer world.
Dog ready.
I'm ready.
All right, our runners are ready, so I believe we will go countdown from 5. Question mark?
Yep, make the magic happen.
Go ahead.
It's just like the teleprompter. Put the question mark at the end, and I just read along with it. Anyway, we are getting things going here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and our runners are off.
All right. Well, the first really interesting thing here is that, they're not using their names. Sylverfyre went with lowercase f, and Sparkover went with lowercase d, and I know that there's something really interesting about that, but what does that mean for these runners exactly as the game goes on?
Well, the first four characters of your name, well, they have certain connotations. It determines certain bonus statistics that you get throughout throughout the game a little bit later on, either your strength, agility, hit points, or magic points. In this case, they're actually running using different builds. Silverfyre, they're opting to go with the letter lowercase f, which gives a boost to strength and agility, whereas Sparkover using the lowercase d, she will have a boost to strength and hit points.
Yep, and it looks like Sylverfyre went and saved to attempt to maybe save that 600 gold in case they find a town. And Sparkover went south because there was a cave directly south of Tentacle Castle. I can't identify the caves in the dark, so I just know that it's a dungeon of some flavor.
Yes, the ability to navigate the caves in the dark is certainly a very skillful thing, although in this case, Sparkover not going to get all the way there as she takes an early death to a metal scorpion, kind of a mid-range enemy game. Now, in the hustle at the beginning, I saw that they had acquired a magic key, which allowed them to get out of the throne room, as well as that aforementioned gold. But what was that first item?
I did not catch the first item, and so I'm not quite sure what was there, because I had to refresh my stream. Sylverfyre, attempting to grind on Drakeys, of course, caught that they do have one of those high-powered spells that you're not expecting, as they got hurt more and took 3 times their health and damage.
Yeah, so that was so an early death on both sides here. Now, both of our runners looking to, well, avoid that hurt more spell from the Drakey, and Sparkover not doing a great job of it. So this is one of those times where you have a late game spell in Hurtmore being utilized by one of the early game enemies, as the Drakey only having roughly 4 to 5 hit points, but our runners kind of playing a bit of a balancing act at this point, and Silverfyre is able to take out the Drakey and will be the first to get to level 2. 7 power, 6 speed, 7 hit points, 7 magic points, and a spell here at the 2 minute and 41 second mark, getting up to level 2.
Yeah, the stat games are all randomized in this randomizer as well, and so getting those early levels, the speed of the game sometimes is really based upon what you get out of those early levels. They started at 7 strength, which is enough to take on slimes, red slimes, and Drakeys, and that's about the extent of it. But the additional 7 strength will greatly increase what they can safely punch, because there's magicians here, which could be handy to be fighting for experience at this point.
And the poltergeists, well, they have the traditional dragon breath, so that will send Syl back to the start here. And now Syl is navigating the cave here and running into a rogue scorpion, which is a later game enemy. Oh, and it has sleep as well, and is able to escape. To answer a question in chat, you do keep your experience when you take a death. However, you do lose half of your gold. As Silverfyre, you see going from 160, but once they're revived in the castle, it'll only be 80 gold.
Yep, Sparkover, it looks like she's slime hunting right now. She knows that Drakeys are dangerous. Doesn't look like red slimes are in the initial zone. So, she is going to hunt down 5 slimes for her level 2. And what I said about punching magicians, they don't like being punched, clearly.
Yes, they have what is known as the Dragon Lord Breath, in that it's generally only used by the Dragon Lord, but here it can be assigned to any of the different enemies, and it generally does damage between 64 and 72 hit points, well above what our runners have at this current time. And Silverfyre with an excellent move, known also as a critical hit. So that gives a rather noted boost and able to one-shot that particular enemy.
Yep, neither of our runners are very interested in that first cave at this point in time, because rogue scorpions and metal scorpions are going to eat them alive at this point. So,
And we've got a new spell. Oh, we've got heal and stop spell at level 3.
Yep. And with 18 additional magic points, one of the nice things that happens when you die is that you do get all of your MP back, which can be really handy. Heal is just a nice spell to see early, so that you can do a little bit more progression, a little bit more exploration.
Ooh, and Druin's with the Dragon Lord Breath as well. Druin's kind of not quite first tier, but generally you tend to see them around level 7, 8 or so.
Yeah,
But
running around.
You're going to want to avoid them this time around.
Yeah, running around 17 strength, you can take out Druids normally pretty safely. Magicians, of course, on top of Breath have Sleep, and that's an ugly combination.
Yeah, in the Dragon Warrior Randomizer community, that is known as the Wombo Combo. Sleep and then the Dragon Lord Breath just to pretty much get you, as it's called, slept and wrecked. Oh, wow, and hurt more on the Warlocks as well. The Magic family, they're certainly putting a hurt in here.
I mean, so far we have found that there are a ton of dangerous enemies out there. So far, Drakeys, Druids, Magicians, Warlocks all packing heat right now. So this is going to probably be one of those slow starts that we talked about.
And Sparkover getting slept and wrecked by the Magician. That's going to send her back. So that early gold at this point is pretty much for naught.
Yeah, no early town means that gold is definitely going to evaporate pretty quickly. Sylverfyre is headed west because they found a second cave that they're very interested in. Poltergeist also had fire breath, so this could be a bad place to be.
Well, the regular fire breath only doing, give or take, about 20 hit points of damage. But getting hit with it twice, that is going to send Sylverfyre back. Already 7 deaths here in 7 minutes into this race.
I don't think either of our runners have a per-death donation incentive, and that's probably the best, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, we've already got a combined 12 deaths between the two, so that would add up very quickly. Or given the way some of these games can go, maybe they could stretch themselves and do a dime per death or something like that. But here comes level 4 now for Sparkover, who's caught up. So we've got 5, 3, 6, 9, and the Spell of Return, which will get our runners back to the castle. Although they've certainly made a lot of trips to there already, thanks to deaths.
Yeah, Return's not terribly exciting just yet until you can get far afield. Sylverfyre, knowing that Warlocks had Hurt More and Sleep, decided to break out that stop spell, and it worked just fine. And you'll notice the Warlock is still trying to cast spells and is just wasting time not dealing damage. So this means that Sylverfyre should be able to take out the Warlock and get caught up on experience here.
Although taking a risk and an attack there, and probably might have been ideal to heal there as the double-digit damage by the Warlock. Perhaps hoping that the Hurt More spamming would have continued, but 'twas not the case.
Yep, basically back-to-back cap damage from that Warlock did the business, so...
Now this game here, you see it's called Dragon Warrior. It's probably better known in the family by its, name now known worldwide of Dragon Quest. However, at the time the game was made, there was a tabletop RPG that utilized that name. So due to trademarking, copywriting, various intellectual property, whichever thing that indicates that we have this so you can't use it, that's pretty much what Enix was running into at the time in terms of the game. So they had to give it a different name for the US audience than what it was known in the Japanese audience.
Huh, I was completely unaware of that. That's really interesting.
See, we have fun playing games, and occasionally you learn something too. And MTI providing the clarification that it was trademark. I knew it was one of them, so I figured if I threw them all out that it would it would get the general gist of what it was, although I didn't quite have the specificities off the top of my head. Or the specifics, for that matter. And Sparkover has found a town, and it's the town of Cantlin, which is known as the proverbial shopping mall of the land of Alfgard, and that there are 3 different weapon and armor shops. Although, at this point, looking for a dragon scale, which once that is put on by Sparkover, that will add an additional 2 defense to her total. And she's going to look for a torch to be able to make her way through those caves, and we'll all be able to see what's going on as Sylverfyre gets up to level 4. And we'll get that return spell as well.
Yep, took the time to lock down the Warlock. Very slow, steady fight, but, gonna get to where they need to be there. Sparkover is stocking up on all the things that she can use, but she is now out of gold without having checked the weapon or armor shops yet.
And running into an armored knight, which is one of the toughest enemies in the game, and as you can see, one-shotting for 38 hit points, and that's going to send her back to the castle.
Yeah. Eventually our runners will get hurt more, and that will let them turn the tables a little bit on armored knights, but for now, that axe hits hard.
Yes, that is known in the community, as MTI pointing out in chat, is known as the AK-47, because it hits as hard as one.
Yep, and it looks like Sylverfyre has headed a little bit east of Potential Castle instead of west, so is not going to find Cantlin, but has found Magistrate Keys, which I think is going to make them very happy, as they are able to very quickly, just lay waste to a pair of them and make up the early experience gap.
Oh, and level 5 is a biggie, as it has the spell of Hurt More. So that, when cast, just does damage of anywhere between 58 and 65 hit points of damage. And a Rogue Scorpion is a fantastic enemy to be able to cast that on. You're able to one-shot it and get 70 experience. And another death on Syl's side. That's already 10 deaths for them here in the 12.5-minute mark. And in getting to level 5, well, just that quickly, here comes level 6 for Sparkover. 5 power, 7 speed, 20 hit points, 1 magic point, and another new spell. And she went through all that trouble of purchasing those torches and is not using them here.
Alright, now Sylverfyre is going to run into Cantlin here, heading due west. Now definitely down on experience, but again, Hurtmore will catch that up in a hurry.
The only thing purchasable here is a bamboo pole, which will add 2 attack power to your total, but generally, in a race scenario like this, it's not deemed worthwhile, so it tends to be skipped. Plus, Sylverfyre going to check out the other shop. Now, a silver shield, that's certainly good of note. And we have a magic key on Sparkover's side.
Yeah, so the big thing with magic keys is that normally the first place that you can get them is the town of Rimmildar, which we have not yet found, also known as just Key Town. But the major thing is that you can also buy them in Tangential Castle. They're a little bit more expensive, but you need a first key to set the seat up for that, basically, just to open a door to get through to it. So, with that, Sparkover will be able to stock up on the keys that she needs to pop open other doors within the game, and access the back of Tangential, where there is a dungeon entrance of some flavor.
And a very popular level for MTI in chat, as there was 0 strength and 0 hit points gained at level 7 for Sparkover.
As Sparkover tapped from resources, navigating that dungeon is going to get sent home. But again, like we're going to see here, going to use that key to pop open this door. This fine gentleman behind the counter is going to sell her Probably, was it? She has enough for 2, so she'll buy 2.
And just that quickly, Sylverfyre up to level 6. And we've got a torch, we've got a magic key,
and the
silver
silver
heart,
which Sparkover just turned in at the back of Tangential Castle. So the silver heart turns into the Staff of Rain, which when we're talking about the items that we need to finish the game, there's our first.
And that also confirms, based on the lack of lighting, that the cave that they were exploring with all these rogue scorpions and metal scorpions is Garen's grave, as there are 3 treasure chests across the top, and there are 2 others that are deeper into the grave. And we've got gold. We've got more gold in the treasury. We've got it's listed as an herb. However, it looks to be the death necklace, as there's there's a bit of a glitch that is being taken advantage of here. So what's known as a gold grind. Now, treasure chests respawn every time our runners go to the overworld map, but due to the programming limits at the time the game was made, the game only tracks up to 8 treasure chests as open. So every chest open beyond that 8th chest can be taken over and over again. Usually it's done by taking at least 2 chests from the cave, in this case 3, as now getting up to level 7 is Sylverfyre. But they would take at least 2 chests from the cave and then death warp back to the castle, where the throne room's 3 treasure chests are already marked as open, so that way you don't spam those over and over again. And then if you open at least a couple of the chests in the treasury, that will add up to more than 8, and that 9th chest can be taken over and over again. And as you can see, garnering at least 500 gold per take of that treasure chest, and is quickly, she essentially is giving herself a license to print money, as she is up to over 23,000 gold and counting.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those tricks that you're going to want to learn if you want to run this game. The Sylverfyre, though, now has a key and is definitely an experienced enough runner to know that they have the setup, and so they are going to go and purchase some keys and use their setup. Just a hair behind in terms of time here, but they're about 100 experience up early on, so not anything to talk about again with Hurt More in play. So this is a fairly tight race. They're about down the length of the gold grind, because I would be shocked to see if Sylverfyre does not go and turn in the harp and then go ahead and print up a bunch of coin as well, knowing that silver shields are in Cantlin.
So Sparkover now is going to save with all that gold, getting at least 33,000 gold to be able to purchase all of the best weapons and armor that money can buy. And there is the Staff of Rain for Sylverfyre, just past the 18-minute mark. And immediately heading on over toward Cantlin, and this is the proverbial shopping spree. It's almost like that old game show Shop Till You Drop from the 90s.
Yeah, we have a term for what just happened there in the Final Fantasy I community. It's called Hero Run, where you basically are able to make a run from one place to another without any encounters. It takes a little bit of luck in Dragon Warrior, but you take it when you can get it, and so I'm sure that she's very happy that she did not need to use that safety save.
Yeah, because there have been times where carrying all that money, you can run into something like an armored knight, and all of a sudden they one-shot you, and you go back and lose half of that gold. But here, there's the silver shields. That's going to add 20 defense points. It's the best shield in the game.
Worth every penny, though.
Oh, absolutely. And then heading on down here, and going to opt for a broadsword, which is the 3rd best weapon in the game. That adds 20 attack power. The only weapons better are the flame sword, which is the best weapon that money can buy, at 9,800 gold and gives you 28 attack power. And somewhere in a treasure chest, there's Erdrick's sword, which is the legendary weapon that will give 40 attack power, as Sparkover also now purchasing a full plate armor, which is the third best armor in the game. It gives 24 defense, and now heading into this locked door here, we're going to see if there are coordinates. Now, one of those searchable spot items is potentially somewhere in the overworld, and this old man here in the Cantlin area will let us know where it is. 8 leagues south and 54 to the west.
Yep, this could be Erdrick's armor. This could be, I believe, Erdrick's token. This could be the fairy flute.
And opting to take an intentional death. Heading on back is Sparkover, and yes, now we'll mention what some of those items are here. Erdrick's armor, the best armor in the game, has a litany of different benefits. That's one of the ideal things that our runners are looking for. Additionally, Erdrick's token is one of the 3 key items needed to access Charlotte Castle, home of the Dragon Lord. And the fairy flute is very essential to put one of the tougher enemies in the game to sleep. The golem is the only thing that can put the golem to sleep, and it is guaranteed to do so once you play the flute. And it is an enemy that can come into play in Charlotte Castle as well as in the overworld.
Yep. It also happens to be one of the 2 enemies in the game, or 3 enemies in the game that are worth 255 experience points, so sometimes you can find a way to grind them. Probably not recommended, but doable.
And Sparkover, recognizing that traversing on foot may not be the ideal situation here, as heading west of Cantlin, running into a bit of a water block. No ability to walk on water or swim in this particular game, so have to find another way around to the potential location, perhaps through the swamp cave, which leads from one area of the land to another. There are 2 different entrances and exits.
Well, we do know that there are 3 caves in the continent, and we knew that the first cave just south of Tenstal was Garen's grave, but we know that there's a cave that is there to the west, and there's a cave further south as well. So we'll see if these runners go ahead and try and find their way.
And Sylverfyre, meanwhile, in Cantlin and is equipping up, getting the broadsword full plate and the silver shield as well. And now is going to heal up and make their way over toward the old man with the coordinates.
Tilo in chat, one of the many runners of the Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior randomizers out here tonight, lets us know that it was the Tablet Cave that was the one by Cantlin, which has 1 treasure chest and no encounters in it, which is an interesting proposition, certainly.
And I think both of our runners, because it is a little challenging to navigate even with a torch, and is a bit time-consuming to navigate if you don't have the spell of outside, because you have to walk through the long and winding maze that is the Tablet Cave, that they're perhaps looking to acquire the spell of outside that will work them out before seeing what is in the Tablet Cave.
Yeah.
A little bit of a risk-reward, as if it's, say, containing Erdrick's sword, the best weapon in the game. Ooh, well, there is a golem in the mountain cave where Sparkover was, and back she goes.
Yep, that was the cave that was further south of Tangential Castle that the runners really hadn't done any exploring of yet, and so golems do hit incredibly hard, so that's not exactly where you want to be right now, and so it's likely that, is Sparkover going to delve that again, knowing that golems are in the encounter table, or does she take a hike around it? Looks like plan B is to take a hike around it and see what's further south.
Yes, now those black swamp tiles that you see, every time our runners take a step through that swamp, it does 2 hit points of damage. That's what you see with the red flashing of the screen as they walk through. And those barrier tiles surrounding the old man in Cantlin, those do 15 points of damage.
So, Sparkover first to level 8, 9 hit points, 10 strength, so that's kind of where you want to be at this point in time. While Sparkover, in her travels further south, has found the town of Grimmeldar, 1 chest, keys for sale, more shops to see if maybe she can spend a little bit more than 4,000 gold.
Yeah, at this point, there's a little bit more, as there's a chest containing some big bucks, but not big enough to be able to increase the weaponry and armory any greater than what she currently has, as the next best weapon is the flame sword, costing 9,800 gold, and the next best armor is the magic armor, costing 7,700 gold. And now here comes level 8 for Sylverfyre, 9, 4, 9, and 1, the stats on that.
Yep, gets a little bit less. It's a little bit less strength, but a little bit more agility. I know Sylverfyre is real big on the strength agility build, and gets ambushed by a magic wyvern in the swamps. Hurtmore lets you do some pretty relaxed things in regards to encounters, but sometimes the back attack will happen and send you home. So Sylverfyre's got a little bit of walking to do now.
So the Magic Wyvern's also with that Dragon Lord 2 breath. Meanwhile, a pair of Hurtmore is able to take out the Armored Knight for 172 experience.
Yeah, as Sylverfyre is going to take their first dip here into the mountain cave, and as soon as they see that it's the mountain cave, will probably want to delve deeper in hopes of getting those treasure chests. And catches an axe in the face for their troubles instantly.
And the Hurtmore, which generally has a fairly high success rate on the Armored Knight, this time not so much, and that is going to send Sylverfyre back to the castle. Yeah, the Armored Knight's only with a resistance against the Hurt spell or Hurtmore spell, 1 out of 16, so only just over a 6% chance of failure, so not so great luck on the part of Sylverfyre.
Yep, a lot of the higher level enemies do carry resistance to Hurtmore, so it tends to be a little bit problematic. The occasional whiff on a Star Wyvern or Armored Knight can be really problematic. As speaking of which, Sparkover's about to get sent home by one as she gets axed and removed from the playing field for the moment with a little bit of inexperience.
And now some more exploration here from Sylverfyre in the cave. They're going to use Hurtmore on a Wolf Lord, a nice mid-level enemy this time around. Our runners are going to be looking, at least in more so in Sylverfyre's case, for enemies such as the Wolf Lord, maybe a Druid Lord, a Droll Magi, Wyvern, Rogue Scorpion. Those are going to be ideal around this point. And RNG Dolphins, to answer your question in chat, the overworld map is randomized, as well as the search spot contents and treasure chest locations, the locations of the towns and caves, also the contents of the weapon and armor shops, the locations of the enemies, the spells and abilities of the enemies, as well as the order of the spells learned by our runners.
Yep, Sylverfyre found the first chest in the mountain cave. It had some cash, so a little bit more to drop when they die.
Little more of a revival fee, that's all.
You get to keep half of it.
And on the bright side, if you happen to pass when there's 0, half of 0 is 0, so in that regard, it doesn't cost you anything. Here comes level 9 for Sylverfyre at the 2906 mark.
Yep. Looks like Sparkover got ambushed by an Armored Knight here in the mountain cave and gets a couple of axe swings, and she gets dropped here without finding what's in that first chest, so she doesn't know anything about the mountain cave yet. Sylverfyre is now 2 chests deep in the mountain cave on the first floor, finds some more cash for their troubles.
And we got a torch and a dragon scale.
which, considering that there were accessible towns, they've probably already bought a dragon scale, so that's not terribly exciting to see, honestly.
Yeah, once you've already purchased a dragon scale, finding one in a treasure chest is a bit of a zonk prize. Monty Hall from Let's Make a Deal would be proud. Or Wayne Brady for the younger generation.
Yep, looked like 13 hit points, the big prize at level 10, along with what looks like, I think, Repel just popped for Sparkover there.
Yeah, Repel is a very helpful mid to late game spell, as when you cast it on the overworld, it only works on the overworld, any enemy whose strength is equal to or less than your defense points, you will not encounter on the overworld.
So, Sylverfyre in the Delve has reached the 5th and I believe final chest in the Mountain Cave, if my memory serves me correctly, down on the 2nd floor, and found Erdrick's token.
Erdrick's token, now that is huge for a couple of different reasons. One, finding Erdrick's token in the chest means that one of the overworld search spots will come up empty. Whether it be, well, we know that it won't be in the overworld itself because we do have coordinates, but either in the town of Hawk's Nest, guarded by an enemy, or in the town of Cole, 4 steps south of the baths.
Yeah, which is always just, so that does kind of reduce the concern for finding locations. Yep, so now, like Azri Blight said in chat, we know that the search spot is the armor or the flute. Hopefully it's the armor, but Sylverfyre taking their first advantage of this run at this point in time. They're down about 800 experience points at the moment, but they are up in terms of items because they are the first runner to have the second piece of the Rainbow Drop.
And yes, Sylverfyre taking a Death Warp there. I would imagine a bit more, I guess perhaps a bit quicker than trying to traverse back through the cave.
Yeah, I mean, could have maybe attempted to find a golem instead and gotten punched real hard, but Rogue Scorpion does the job eventually. As Sparkover found a weird castle in the middle of a moat. What is that?
Well, that would be none other than Sherlock Castle, so that is where the Dragon Lord dwells, but our runners need to gather the items to acquire the Rainbow Drop to build a bridge over that troubled water to get into Sherlock Castle. Here comes level 10. We've got 10, 3, 17, and 2 for Sparkover. Yeah, 10 attack and 17 hit points are certainly huge. Oh, and there's the Red Dragon. But she's able to get away. The Red Dragon, arguably the toughest enemy that isn't the Dragon Lord, having high agility and really high strength. It is known in the community as, the Dragon Warrior Randomizer community, as the Fun Police, because when they show up, the fun tends to stop.
I mean, these red dragons are a little bit less dangerous than their usual selves are, just usually attacking for like 40 to 50 damage on light armor. They have stop spell, which means that they are going to be sometimes casting spells that, don't stop you from running away. So there's a chance that the 255 experience red dragons become a target for our runners if they're in the spawn table in Sherlock Castle.
And Sylverfyre going to recoup their hit points and magic points at the end for 55 gold. Sparkover, meanwhile, heading back toward the southwest, doing a little bit more exploration. I want to take a moment to thank you all for checking things out here on Power Up with Pride, and also for your contributions and donations to the Trevor Project. Already just over the $10,000 mark. It is greatly appreciated. And Sparkover has found another cave, which is the Rainbow Drop Cave. That's where you'll be trading in your respective items to acquire that Rainbow Drop. It's known in the community as the Jerk Cave because if you don't have all the items, most notably Erdrick's token, then the old man will kick you out of the cave like the jerk that he is.
Yeah, it is a very good find, however. As we are hitting the 35-minute mark, Sparkover has found a town deep to the southeast of the main continent. She has found the town of Cole, so like you mentioned, there is that search spot. There's a couple of shops here, but the search spot is the big find. Okay, maybe it's not the big find on this run. I apologize. There's nothing there.
So that could have been where the token would have been if it was not in a treasure chest, as both the Fairy Flute and Erdrick's token can be in a search spot, but they also have been programmed to randomly potentially be in a treasure chest as well. So once that is the case, if they are in their search spots and not in a treasure chest, then you will see a cursed belt come up, which is pretty much a waste of an item.
Tilo making mention also in chat that red dragons also have the lesser fire breath as well. All of these things are preferable to those nasty teeth and claws that red dragons usually are packing, so could be good.
Yeah, especially once our runners acquire the Erdrick's armor, as it is not only the best armor in the game, but arguably the best armor in all of RPG history, as not only does it have the 28 defense points better than any other armor, but you don't take damage when you walk through barrier tiles or swamp tiles. It reduces the damage done by the Hurt or Hurt More spells, as well as the Fire Breath by 1/3. It completely negates the spell of Stop spell, and as if that wasn't enough, but wait, there's more. For every step that you take anywhere, it heals 1 hit point towards your maximum.
It's also supposed to be legendarily pretty as well.
Oh, that just goes without saying. And TNT King, thank you so much in chat. Alongside Demarine, I'm Ferran Burgundy, and yeah, we are bringing the action here of this race between Sylverfyre and Sparkover here on Power Up with Pride.
Yep, our current major gap between the runners right now is that Sylverfyre was able to completely delve the mountain cave, picking up Erdrick's token at the far bottom, while Sparkover was not able to pull that off at this point. Sparkover has about a 600-point experience lead here, so, you know, a few hurt mores. It's about 4 armored knights worth of experience at this point.
And Sylverfyre just a step away from a town, and here is another armored knight. Meanwhile, crossing the 3,000 experience mark to get to level 12 is Sparkover, another 14 power, plus a spell as well. Getting pretty beefy.
Yep. While Sylverfyre, in their travels, has found the town of Hawksness. Not doing so well these days. It got destroyed a while ago, and now it is home of an Axe Knight guarding the search spot, which is exactly what you want to see, except if your hurt or whiffs 1 out of 16. Oh god.
Oh man, usually Axe Knights are extremely susceptible to the hurt damage. Yes, they are. They only have 1/16 resistance, but in this case, the 1 out of 16 being the case for Sylverfyre, and I feel like a little deja vu in this case. I think I said that earlier regarding an armored knight.
Yeah, and the big thing is that Axe Knights, based upon their usual health total, have about a 75% chance to die to the hurt more if it lands. So that is a very unfortunate break for Sylverfyre here, because that could have been a really quick check of the search spot, which would have given them information on what's in the world search spot once they find Cole.
Yeah, that Axe Knight guarding an item in the trees there, and we know that it is, well, potentially either the Fairy Flute or Erdrick's armor, but there is also a chance that it could be nothing if the Fairy Flute is in a treasure chest.
This is very true, and Sylverfyre is going to successfully run, is going to get back up to Rimmeldar to save the day, at least sleep in the inn, as Sparkover with 103 maximum hit points at this time is going to discover the Axe Knight there and try and take down the Axe Knight with her, but she's got a sword, not quite her bare hands.
With her might and her sword, and is able to three-shot the knight.
And in doing so, finds the Fairy
Flute.
Alright, there's a very good chance that we're going to see our runners go ahead and rescue, well, I guess in their case, the prince, as it looks like the Erdrick's armor is out there in the world waiting for us 8 tiles south and 54 tiles due west of Tangential Castle.
Now, why the rescuing is important, inside the swamp cave, which connects 2 parts of the land, there is a guardian that is keeping, in the traditional version of the game, a princess is being held, and the hero is to rescue the princess. Both of our runners, or actually, I should say Sparkover, is playing as Princess Gwaelin. So in Gwaelin's case, there will actually be, it was programmed in to rescue Prince Guimond, who is inside of the cave. And once you return the royalty, whomever they may be, to the castle, they give you their love, which is an item that can be used essentially as a GPS, as it's been known in chat, the Gwaelin or Guimond positioning system, which will let you know your position in relation to the castle.
Yep, Sylverfyre, level 11. The level shift might have been enough before, or excuse me, level 12 would have been enough probably to take out this Axe Knight without casting Hurt More, but of course, not going to take any chances here. Lands it, 60 damage, no problem, dead the second time. Not a lot separating these 2 runners at this point in time. Exploration fairly similar, runs fairly similar, picking up experience as they go, trying to burn off all their magic points before they die. You know, just a really good show of skill in the randomizer at this point.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to come down to who is more efficient in their enemy grinding later in the game. And oh, Green Dragons with the Dragon Lord 2 Breath as well. Why not?
Yeah, they are potentially going to torch you. Not exactly what you want to see. Green Dragons are a favored grind target because they, generally speaking, have the ability to be defense broken fairly early in the game compared to other monsters, which means that what happens is that when your defense power gets high enough, you go from the standard damage formula to one where they just do 1 to, I believe, what is it, like a quarter of their attack power and damage?
It's a little bit more complex than that in terms of the calculation, but for even some of the tougher enemies, if you damage break them, the absolute most that you'd see would be 15, 16, maybe 17 hit points of damage.
Yeah, it's a pretty good place to be, honestly, as Sylverfyre has traversed the world to the southwest, has found Cole, and found nothing in Cole. So they now absolutely know that the armor is at the search spot, because they have Erdrick's token, they have the Fairy Flute, they have both search spots otherwise pinned down. So all that Sylverfyre needs to find now is going to be the Stones of Sunlight, and of course probably rescue Gwaelin to get their hands on some GPS to get to the armor.
Yeah, Erdrick's armor, while not officially required to complete the game, it is very, very strongly recommended.
Oh, did Syl find the stones someplace? Because Sylverfyre has a complete set and has just made the rainbow drop on our stream.
Yeah, I'm perplexed as to. I mean, I guess in my refreshing of the screen, I must have missed it here.
Was it potentially like the initial item that they received in Tangential Castle that we missed? It seems like a pretty big issue on our part.
That could very well be the case. I'm waiting to see if and when Sparkover opens up her item inventory. If the stones were in there, then yes, I think that is a crucial thing that we missed in the very beginning. As Sylverfyre now in the town of Garenham.
Yeah, and there are 3 chests and a cave behind here, and I believe by process of elimination, this should be the swamp cave at this point, of some flavor. But also, the important thing with those 3 chests is that's 3 more rolls to get their hands on Erdrick's armor here, or excuse me, Erdrick's sword here.
Correct. Although, have we seen the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight cave as of yet?
I don't believe we have. Yeah, Moonblaze Wolf is confirming that it was right at the start, so...
So we've got fairy water, we have an empty chest, which in this case would be an herb, and there's that cursed belt, so that does confirm what we already know regarding the fairy flute being in a search spot.
Yep, and we also know that there are still the 2 chests in Lower Garen's grave, and there is still the one cave, the one item cave, so it's still missing out on that. The Swamp Cave has an Axe Knight as well. What a good find, certainly, here. This is what you want to see.
Yeah, the Axe Knight generally having a range of anywhere from 51 to 67 hit points of damage, and having that much of a hit points range, and being able to do 58 to 65 damage with the Hurt More spell, that allows you on most occasions to be able to one-shot an Axe Knight. And you can see the experience quickly being caught up now by Sylverfyre here, already up to almost 4,000.
Yeah. And with this attached to Garenham, this is a easy-peasy grind spot at this point in time. This is basically what you want to see, so it is very likely that this ends up being the endgame grind spot for at least one of our runners at this point in time, unless one decides to brave Sharlock and finds that there are some very friendly red dragons there to be feasted upon.
So you see Princess Gwaelin being rescued.
Yep. While on the other side, Sparkover is making a redive into the mountain cave at this point in time, much more well-prepared for something like this. Heal more torches, hurt more, level 13, about 100 maximum hit points plus. Finds her way to the second floor, finds her way to the first chest, which had some cash in it.
And some more big bucks. Going to double back and get the torch and dragon scale up top, and then is going to be pleased to see Erdrick's token at the end, as Sylverfyre now getting up to level 13 with the 0 hit point gain. Empty Eye loving that.
Garenham was west and a little bit south of Tangential Castle. So it was pretty easy on. It was at the edge of that swamp. Sylverfyre did not get the chance to go back into the inn. Dies to the armored knight, and of course, when you die, you can't carry a princess anymore.
So Sylverfyre going to have to go back down to Tangential Castle, or from Tangential Castle to Garenham, I should say, back into the cave to rescue the princess once again. So this gives Sparkover, who just acquired Erdrick's token, a chance to catch up here and find the same information, and almost the way they're going, almost a little bit of a simultaneous run here.
Yeah, and they're both going to get to Garenham pretty much near at the same time. So the advantage is very thin right now in terms of it. Sylverfyre has turned in the pieces for the rainbow drop. Sparkover has the pieces of the rainbow drop, but has yet to do the turn-in, but knows where the cave is. So, again, not a lot to separate them. Sylverfyre is looking at that one key right now and going, oh no, I do not have enough keys, and I've got to go home a second time to reload the key inventory.
Yes, as one key is required to access the cave, and then another is required to access the princess.
Yep, Sparkover is going to take a moment to restock, is going to take a moment to reload at the inn here, and then is going to go into the back of Baronham and find the swamp cave there.
Now, as far as the treasure chest, now there could have been something that we missed along the way here, but I believe that there are only 11 unaccounted for treasure chests which may contain Erdrick's sword, the best weapon in the game. The two deep in Garen's grave, as well as I don't believe either of our runners have gone down to the tablet cave, because I think they're still waiting for that outside spell. The Vanilla Stones of Sunlight Cave, and then the 7 in Charlotte Castle.
Yep, and they've both got outside at level 13, so outside is in their spell repertoire at this point. So that option does exist.
But I believe with recognizing that the cave is here, the swamp cave, and the access to the prince or princess, depending on our respective players, the access to royalty, we'll put it that way, and the eventual leading to Erdrick's armor, the best armor in the game, that is going to take priority than rolling the dice on a possible finding of the sword.
Yes, Jacob, we did not see what's behind the locked door on the second floor of Garen's grave. So we are lacking information on the chests down there, the two down there, at this point in time. You know, with the strength that the runners have, if they had found a flame sword someplace, there is a chance that they could consider the dive. I mean, 67 is okay right now. So they're still hurting a little bit for strength.
A little bit strength starved here in the going. And now you see Sparkover as Princess Gwaelin rescuing Prince Guimond.
Yeah, Sylverfyre again, burning some resources on these Axe Knights.
Perhaps looking to build up a little bit of strength to get to level 14?
Yeah. Slightly behind the pace. They're catching up the experience gap that's sitting around 700. Using that nice agility that they have to run from that golem for free.
Now, interestingly enough, neither runner opting to go with the outside spell. And oh wow, look at that! From one cave to another, and there's the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight Cave on Sparkover's end, and it has a set of wings.
The item that lets you cast the return spell, it's used in the manipulation speedrun because you finished it at level 7, but in this case, probably not what you wanted to see. It's not Erdrick's sword.
So that means that Erdrick's sword could either be in one of the two chests in the grave, the deep chests, the tablet cave, or it could be in Charlotte Castle, which means we may have a little bit of a guessing game going later here.
I don't know, I always pick the judge's table because I'm bad, but that's me.
And should it come up, we'll delve into it a little bit more here as Sparkover gets to level 14.
And Sparkover is currently exploring the second continent and finds the town of Breckenary. Is that the final town that we needed to find at this point?
I believe that was it. It's known, well, a few people know it, including myself, as Sixth Town, and that the town of Breckenary, while it is the town that is nearest Tanager Castle in the vanilla portion of the game, and is kind of your Fisher-Price My First Town, in a sense, when it comes to RPGs. In this particular case, it's known for being the cheapest inn in the game, and that you can replenish your hit points and magic points for the low, low price of 6 gold.
Yeah, Sugar Frost is calling me out on that one. I believe needed to find is a very strong word for that at this point.
Well, for the completionists out there, yes, it would have been needed to have been found. And MDI, yes, Rimildar was found pretty early on. It was a little anticlimactic because our runners had access to keys early on.
All right, and both of our runners have deposited the princess at home, or prince at home in Sparko's case, and they have received Gwymon's love, so giving them the ability to figure out where they are in the world.
Now, if only we can use that for Carmen Sandiego.
Sparkover rapidly hauling back down to Garenham to pop open the door and cross through the swamp cave. Sylverfyre has the exact same idea, hot on her heels right now. As the two of them are running in near lockstep right now.
Both with the same idea at this point. At this stage of the game, looking to get the necessary levels to head on into the final castle, to Charlotte Castle. I'm guessing at this point that we won't see either of them necessarily double back into Garen's grave, or maybe even the tablet cave. They're going to play their hunch that, they've got a 70% chance that Erdrick's sword is going to be in Charlotte Castle.
Yeah, and I know I've played a lot of randomizers and a lot of games with Sylverfyre, and I know that they love to play the odds. They love that mathematical play. So there's a pretty strong chance that we see them skip the 3 chests left on the overworld, because they're going to run into the Stones Cave immediately, and of course go into it because it's right here.
And not too far from the exit, you can see Sparkover laying the count. Sylverfyre going to check the Stones of Sunlight Cave, going to get a set of wings.
Going to use Gwymon's love, takes, again, same idea, finds that, in the right place, all of 9 steps away from the Stones Cave is going to be the armor.
Yeah, only about 10 seconds after Sparkover finds it, does Sylverfyre as well.
Sylverfyre then finds Breckenary, is like, I'm good, I'm out.
Which seems to be the common response for Breckenary a majority of the time, and now Sparkover getting the rainbow drop as well. So we are fairly well even here.
And it looks like Sylverfyre is about to make a liar of me right on this stream. My friend, going into Garen's grave to check the 2 lower chests.
Well, this certainly is a gutsy play, and if it pays off, that, for all we know, Sparkover could be heading back that way as well. But first, Sparkover back into Rimildar to max out on some magic keys.
Okay, so Sparkover reloading on keys. We know she knows where Charlotte Castle is. I don't know if Sylverfyre saw it. I'm assuming that they do, but that might not be accurate. So.
And you can see the experience differential has dwindled down to less than 200 at this point. At one point, it was close to 1,000. And now here comes level 14 for Syl. 0, 4, 4, and 2. The stats very underwhelming.
Yeah, it looks like sylverfyre's making this play because it looks like, knowing the current strength that they've got, they pretty much are gonna need Erdrick Sword at this point to make some last headway.
And if you think about it, the play here, it's smart in that you know that you're going to have super duper tough enemies in Sherlock, and you may not necessarily have the strength to handle them, especially here with the Red Dragon, although getting a critical hit certainly isn't a bad idea.
Nope, and Sparkover has decided it's time to go back to the ruined city of Hawksness and turn a lot of Axe Knights into a lot of experience points.
And chest number 4 is the Fighter's Ring, which once that's put on, that will add an additional 2 attack power. So while it's not the thing you were looking for, it's certainly something you're not unhappy to have.
No, every little bit is gonna help here, so...
Now, if the sword is deep in the grave, then it's a fantastic play. Even if it isn't, it's certainly not a bad play, but this is also, it's a matter of the differential of Sparkover going for the direct grind and sylverfyre going for the search and grind.
Yeah, the direct grind is faster. You know, you take 2 steps, you get an Axe Knight, you get 130 experience points, you go until your mana runs out, and then you get sent home.
Or if she opted to, with 8 right now, 8 MP, she could cast Return, but no, she's just going to maximize the opportunity here. Get one more. Now, Sparkover looking for 75, well, actually both of our runners looking for 7,500 total experience to get to level 15.
Yep, as Sparkover does quickly work up a gap of about 800 experience points right now, and it's going to continue. It's not going to extend any further because, again, she's going to get sent home by the Axe Knight now that she's all out of resources. As both of our runners sort of settle in for this this moment of progression to the end game. Sparkover is going to give us a look at the tablet cave, so we're going to have all the information. Nope, she doesn't have any torches and she bails out. Nope, and she goes back in.
I was going to say, no spell of Radiant?
Not yet. And sylverfyre pops the last chest, and it is empty, so it's either tea or an herb.
With an herb. Yeah, whenever a chest shows up as empty, it can mean a couple of different things. If it was either an herb or a magic key, and you already have 6 of them, then that means that, well, you've maximized them out, so you're not gonna. Is you're not going to be able to get any more. Now, or it can mean if you've already searched a chest that has a key item, you're not going to get a second of them. So you can't get 2 Staffs of Rain or 2 Stones of Sunlight, well, 2 inventory listings of Stones of Sunlight. Obviously, by its name, you would think that there are multiple Stones of Sunlight. And Sparkover doing a little navigation in the dark here, trying to open a door.
Looks like she had a bit of a hard time finding her way through the lower half of Garen's grave, though, and so has decided to go back to the tablet cave. Sylverfyre is going to stock up on torches before going into the tablet cave because they like to be able to see, it looks like, so...
Sight is a very, very important thing. It also helps us here so we can see what exactly they're doing. no enemy encounters as Sylverfyre tries to literally take the stairs. And it looks like it was a set of wings.
Well, so we now officially know that all the chests in the overworld are exhausted. Everything outside of Sherlock is taken care of, so, well, we got one place left to go.
And that means we get to explain the pyramid game, which is a very popular thing in the Dragon Warrior Randomizer community. Because a few of the folks, myself and Game Boy F9, one of the more prominent runners, just to name a few, are fans of the old game show, the X $1,000 Pyramid, we decided to, based off of the layout of the treasure chests that are deep in Sherlock Castle, have a little bit of fun with it as they're arranged in a pyramid-type shape. So we ask you to get your guesses in on which of the 7 chests it will be. Now, you can either say lower left or lower right or middle left or middle right or lower middle or upper chest. But for those fans of the old game show, we like to go with the old dollar values that accompanied those spots that Dick Clark would count off, whether it be 50 for the lower left, 100 for the lower middle, 150 for the lower right, 200 for the middle left, 250 for the middle right, and 300 for the upper chest. Or if you think it's in its vanilla location, where it would be in the vanilla version of the game, we refer to that as the judge's table.
It's down at the bottom. It's the path that you don't take to find the Dragon Lord. It's a way, way out of the way treasure chest. You don't really want to go there. Our runners might go there. You know,
Why not? Why not stray from the norm by going for the norm?
Yeah, and of course, with the way that this seed played out, you know, in terms of, you know, decent item locations, a single continent world more or less, and a fairly brutal early encounter table, the fact that Sylverfyre has breached Sherlock Castle here at an hour 7 is pretty solid right now. And Sparkover is making the checks in Garen's Grave, doing it blind, doing it no torch. Finds the fighter's ring, so found the actual prize here.
And you would think that she might have been secretly hoping, ooh, maybe it's a torch.
As Sylverfyre in their dive finds it looks like a decent chance of casting stop spell on these red dragons, so this is gonna make them fairly happy.
Yeah, based on the number of times it's been cast, I'm thinking 50, maybe 75% likelihood of casting stop spell.
Yeah, that's a real good look when you find red dragons on the way down to, in this case, exploratory dive / finding the going into the Sherlock treasury.
Well, and the other thing is we had mentioned earlier that Erdrick's armor, which both of our runners have, negates the spell of stop spell. So the red dragon can cast stop spell until it turns blue in the face, and it's not going to take effect on Sylverfyre or Sparkover.
I mean, I always thought that they would turn green in the face, but I don't know. I don't know how how the dragon physiology works.
Your guess is as good as mine on that, Dem.
The gap is 400 experience points right now. Both of our runners have found red dragons and are very happily just hacking away very slowly with their, fairly dull broadswords at this point.
And Sylverfyre getting the kill on the red dragon first, and is going to advance a little further here into Sherlock Castle.
Yep, as reaches 7,650 experience points, is going to add on 9 more health, and probably most importantly at this point, 15 magic points. big importance behind magic points is that Heal More is a spell that costs 8 MP, and you're going to use an awful lot of them at the end of the game against the second form of the Dragon Lord. Basically, they're going to be doing some math to figure out what kind of average damage they can do to the Dragon Lord and what kind of healing count they have available to them. And they're going to put that all together and figure out what their chances of winning the final fight is at the end of the day. Without the Erdrick Sword right now, though, the chance is 0. So the hunt is still on.
Yeah, ideally they're going to want their attack power to be at bare minimum 128. That's even to consider, especially with the other statistics being fairly low, having a remote chance of taking out the Dragon Lord.
Yeah, I know, like was mentioned, Dragon Lord has 150 to 165 damage. At 128 attack power, your attacks will do 7 to 14 damage, or an average of about 10 to the Dragon Lord. So it's going to take anywhere between 15 and 17 swings to do the job. Which means you need a lot of Heal Mores to cover the gap.
Because that second form of the Dragon Lord, yeah, spoiler alert, there are 2 forms. That's pretty commonplace for the Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest games, though, when it comes to final bosses. But that second form will attack most of the time. It's a 50-50 shot. It's a coin flip where they'll either utilize that Dragon Lord Breath, which will do between 42 and 48 hit points of damage with our runners equipped with the Erdrick's armor, or they can attack, which, to say the least, is a pretty beefy attack.
Yeah, it's an attack that, if you don't have, Silver Shield or Erdrick's Armor, can really cut you down. It can do over 50 damage, which is a little scary because you're trying to do the math in such a way that the maximum hit you can take is from the breath attack would take 48 with the Erdrick's Armor. So...
Alright, so last minute guesses for where Erdrick's Sword will be?
It's going to be in 100.
Going 100, okay. I'm going 50. I'm going to go El Cheapo, as Bob Barker used to say. Yes, I'm really showing my age with the game show references here.
Alright, Sylverfyre has probably taken their first Experience League of the entire run at this point. It's about to shift over, but nope, 100 has Fairy Water, 150 had an herb in it, and 250 a Magic Key, 200 has a Magic Key, the 300, the big chest, had Big Money. Well, Empty Eye would be proud. Guess where we're headed?
Oh my goodness. It is vanilla.
We've got a little bit more traversing of Sharlock to do this fine evening. And Sylverfyre's gonna start putting on their running shoes and try and get away from some of these encounters with 6 MP.
So yes, Empty Eye, Empty Eye, always bet on Judge's table.
Always bet on the Judge's table. Sparkover's decided to not traverse Sharlock yet and has decided instead to try and take out a handful more of Axe Knights here to get themselves ground up to level 16 most likely before doing their dive. Moonblaze Wolf asking the worst question in randomizers, and I'm going to yell at them later.
My general response is, because you wouldn't expect it to be there, that's where the randomization comes into play. That is the equivalent on a roulette wheel of it coming up into that green section.
Every so often you hit 00. That's where we are right now. And yeah, Jake Over making a good point. Grinding first is kind of a good call because the Erdrick Sword's not going to do a thing against Axe Knights. You're just going to cast Hurt More until you're tapped out. 6 MP left is exactly enough to get Sylverfyre outside. Wings are going to be exactly enough to get Sylverfyre home with that sword.
Yeah, that was immediate and very, very economical, using their last 6 MP to be able to cast outside.
Yep, experience gap that Sparkover's pulled open is about at the gap of 11 Axe Knights killed. The gap is 1,430 experience points.
And Sylverfyre making a beeline back to Garenham. Sparkover, meanwhile, taking on this golem and taking a good amount of time using the fairy flute. As every time it's blown, it takes about 8 seconds for the sound to occur of the fairy flute. And it's one of those things where if you're playing the fairy flute 2 or 3 times in a battle, that's 24 seconds that can quickly add up.
Yeah, it's a lot of experience, but it's a lot of time. So Sylverfyre was able to take out 2 armored knights in the same time, and talk a lot about experience efficiency in these endgame grinds in the Dragon Warrior Randomizer, because that's really what matters at the end of the day. Gotta get as much experience as you can, as fast as you can. Sylverfyre was able to make up about 100 experience points there.
It's just those little subtle nuances that make things very interesting here in Dragon Warrior Randomizer. And based on a lot of those things and the way the seeds are shuffled, we have seen seeds that have gone under the 45-minute mark, and we have seen seeds that have gone over 3 hours.
This one is not likely to go 3 hours. Thankfully, again, in an hour 16, Sylverfyre has everything. Sparkover is about to break into Charlotte Castle. Just hits level 16. He's going to learn Radiant and get 16 more maximum MP, but doesn't refill on the road. Is definitely, again, going to need the sword. And so it looks like this is going to be an exploratory dive for the sword. Maybe set up some experience for 17 if necessary.
And don't forget, coming up next here on Power Up with Pride, in roughly about 20-25 minutes from now, Luca, Born of a Dream, run by the Dapper Fox. That coming up here as we have crossed over into Sunday morning here on the East Coast. And we thank you for tuning in here to Power Up with Pride.
Yeah, we're here, doing our thing for the Trevor Project, which maybe one of our hosts could pop their head in for a second and tell us about, because we're kind of at quiet time right now.
Yeah, for sure. I also have some donations to read. I have $17.71 from Sugar Frosted that just says bears in all caps. That is important to know. I have $100 from Arbor Elia. Of gold, thou hast gained 100. Thou hast done well in breaking the game. I also want to remind everybody that all your donations go to benefit the Trevor Project. The Trevor Project is a leading national organization providing crisis intervention and suicide prevention services to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth. You can check them out at thetrevorproject.org to access their services, find out more about their impact, or to donate. Or you can use our nifty little !donate command in chat, and that will also take you to that link. If you're interested, there's also some donation incentives that we have going on. Coming up quite a bit later, we have an Elias choice for ticket. We have 8 choices: Greg, Autumn, Susie, Todd, Toes, Trace, Irma, and Willie. I don't know. There's an E there. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'm sorry, Amber, ahead of time. A bit later. For Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix, you get to choose one of the 8 Keyblades that Aqua will use during her run. There's Stormfall, the default Keyblade, Destiny's Embrace, Fairy Stars, Hyperdrive, Rainfell, Mark of a Hero, Pixie Petal, and Treasure Trove. If you want to check out those incentives, you can use !incentives, plural that requires an S, incentives, to check those out.
Thank you very much, Varen. And trust me, I have similar issues when it comes to figuring out which syllable to put the emphasis on, so no concerns there. We all get the general gist with some of these things.
And the fact that you can pull that off just amazes me to no end. Alright, so looks like in the interim, of course, Sylverfyre went down to Garanham to start blowing fire at Axe Knights, 130 experience at a time once again. Sparkover is on her sword dive at this point. Burning MP means that, her intent is to get her hands on Erdrick's sword. Her intent is not to kill the Dragon Lord on this dive.
Now, if the run was to actually go after the Dragon Lord, you would see our runners holding on to and clinging on to every last MP that they can.
Yeah, even with Erdrick's sword, Sylverfyre looking at that attack power of 116 right now. Even with the Death Necklace, which is an item that we picked up way early in the run, but we didn't really get a chance to talk about, it does something really interesting. It curses you. It drains out 25% of your maximum hit points. Obviously, having hit points is good because, again, Dragon Lord, we're aiming for the Dragon Lord to have a maximum damage of 48. So ideally, you have over 96 hit points for the fight. So losing 25% of your health if you don't have a big pile of hit points can be a little bit problematic. But on the flip side of the coin, it gives you 10 attack power. And sometimes that 10 attack power is what you need to bump you over from kind of on the borderline, like at 128 or 130, to, in a much more comfortable territory, getting around 140 attack power. So it may come into play at level 17, if level 17 gives us hit points and not a ton of power.
Now, one other factor that I'm looking to see once Sparkover checks her stats, if she does here, but when Sylverfyre had checked their stats and we had noted the 116 attack power, that with that strength agility build using the lowercase f, Sylverfyre's defense is already at 95, which has damage broken the Axe Knights, meaning that when the Axe Knight attacks, it'll do considerably less damage to Sylverfyre than before, as we had talked about earlier. When your defense points are the same as or higher than an enemy's strength, then a different attack range is calculated, resulting in less damage. In this case, as you can see, the Axe Knight hitting for 1, the most that it would hit for is 16 hit points. So that means fewer heal mores, and really you can just slash at this here and save your MP, and that means fewer trips, theoretically, down to the end.
Yeah, and even then, though, with Sparkover now running from combats at this point in time, trying to conserve a little bit of resources here, the Sylverfyre is gonna pretty rapidly close the experience gap here. Again, this race is really going to come down to the end here, because we know that Sparkover is going to have to dip the judges' table, going to have to leave, and then going to have to make the decision of whether or not she's playing for level 17 at this point. Which, she'll have a little bit more health to play with, but that's about the extent of it right now.
Well, level 17 isn't too terribly far away for Sparkover at the moment. The target number is going to be 12,000, so at this moment here, just 609 experience away. Now with the Green Dragon out, less than 500, so it's pretty likely that level 17 will be accessible. Now, if they have to get to 18, where it's 14,250, that's where some assessment and analysis may have to come in.
Yeah, it's very likely Sylverfyre does not leave this spot until 12 grand at this point, with the sword in hand, knowing that the strength is inadequate to do the job. There's no reason to go anywhere near Sharlock just yet.
That the judges' table, the vanilla location, is going to be required to get the Erdrick sword.
Yeah, and so Sparkover is on her way now. finds this green dragon who is going to fire breath at her and then heal a little bit of the damage that was dealt. So rather than trying to throw a second hurt more, she heads for the hills and runs for her life. And it looks like at this pace, Sylverfyre will be our first runner to catch level 17, as they are 3 Axe Knights away. Sparkover catches a little bit of bad luck, casting Hurt More on this Axe Knight and whiffs the first one. Second one does the job, though, so...
You can see that gap that was close to 1,500 earlier in terms of experience now has been eliminated, and Sylverfyre just 6 experience away from level 17, hoping to perhaps catch a small enemy on the way out. Oh, there's the Druid.
For 14 experience points, it's all they needed. 3 strength, though, and 1 hit point means level 17 might not be enough.
We might have to go to 18. And that also means an apology may be in order here for the Dapper Fox.
Yep, as Sparkover has found her way to the bottom, has Erdrick's sword, with all of a 150 experience point deficit to her name right now. This race is incredibly close, and Sparko's going to look at her stats. The big thing is that she's not going to get to enough health to want to crack the Death Necklace with the gain of what's probably going to be 4 for her.
So now Sparkover heading out just 9 experience shy of level 17. Meanwhile, Sylverfyre at a moment was 8 experience beyond level 17. And back to the grind we go.
Yep, Sylverfyre is marginally ahead at this point. Sparkover, of course, hauled it with her 123 maximum hit points, has hauled it down here to Garenham as well, just in case. It's going to be either for the inn or for the grind, and as looking at that 3 power, she knows it's for the grind. She has to. She's going to stop at the inn, and she's going to head through that door into the swamp cave and make some friends.
Now, again, with that differential, I wonder what her defense is, if she has defense broken the Axe Knights or not, because that will make her grind on the Axe Knights just a little bit more time-consuming. Oh, there we go, 94. So she has also damage broken the Axe Knights. So that will... That time differential is negated here, so it's, again, an even race.
Yeah, the differential is now positive about 850 for Sylverfyre in experience points. This has been quite the back and forth race, honestly. It's been real close. Sylverfyre with the early dive on the token. Sparkover with the early experience lead, deciding to grind early, getting the information from the ruined city of Hawk's Nest first. Sylverfyre first to crack Charlotte Castle, but doing it with about a 1-level deficit. So the catch-up is here. It's about a 1,000-point gap in experience right now, in Sylverfyre's favor. And, the resources are a little bit tight right now. What's the next experience level for our runners, Ron?
To get to level 18, it is going to be 14,250. So about 1,000 experience lead differential here for Sylverfyre. Just a hair under, actually about 900. Ooh, wow, this is extremely close here. So 14,250. So about quick math in my head here. That is 630 away now, and even 500 away for Sylverfyre. Thank you for making that math easy.
Yep. 4 kills away. Sparkover is down about 1,000, so it's about 10 kills away. The way that this run has gone, if you told me that these two runners were going to be 6 Axe Knights apart, I mean, based on their skill levels, I'm not terribly surprised.
No, and this is fairly commonplace. You can check among the, I was going to say, am I allowed to mention other, well, yeah, the Dragon Warrior Randomizer community, you tend to see a lot of races among the Randomania network, or series of Randomania networks, and there were a series of tournaments that were held earlier this year that were, well, very, very exciting, very intriguing, and I was proud and thrilled to be on the microphone and commentating, gosh, all told, probably close to half of them.
Alright, 131 attack power for Sylverfyre is a 12 strength level 18. Sylverfyre is topping up. No magic keys, can't go back in and grind anymore, but I can't imagine that they want to. I think they're going to take their chances. They're looking, they've got 6 herbs, they might snag a torch. I think this is it. This is go mode.
18 looks to be the level.
MP is 99 J-Coper, so we are looking at a total of 12 heal mores at this point in time against a average damage range of 8 to 16. So, 12 average damage, it's gonna be a really tight fight, but, you know, Sylverfyre believes in that agility, believes in that 107 agility gonna get them away from the dangerous encounters in Charlotte Castle. That's generally been their MO the entire time they've been playing the Dragon Warrior Randomizer.
Just, I'm quickly doing the calculations in my head here, just to clarify. You said 131 was the attack, so it'll actually be 7 to 15 for the damage range. It'll be averaging 11 per strike. If they have the max 165, that would be 15 attacks and 12 heal mores, so it's not a slam dunk by any means.
No, this is dicey.
So while it is go mode to give it a go, that doesn't necessarily mean just get down to the final basement, challenge Dragon Lord, win, kick back your heels, and celebrate. There's gonna need to be a little luck involved, and that has not been something that has been on their side thus far, as Sparkover now getting to level 18 as well. Roughly 2 minutes after Sylverfyre.
6 herbs, 4 magic keys, rainbow drop already used. 99 MP, gonna hit the end, gonna have a little bit more health to play with here. The big thing is that extra health, that 127 health is probably just outside of Death Necklace range. Might consider it, might consider the gamble, go to, what is that gonna bring them down to? 12, 24, 24 and 6 is 30. Plus a little bit more. That would bring them, I think, to 95.
That is correct.
So
it would be 95 hit points, and you generally want to have a maximum of 97 if you utilize the Death Necklace, because, or even if you don't, if you have just low hit points in general, 97 will guarantee that if you take 2 maximum Dragon Lord breaths at 48, that you won't. You'll guarantee that that you won't die basically being 2-shot.
Yeah, basically it stops the Dragon Lord from taking doubles against you, which of course is a very bad situation when you only have the 12 heal mores to your name. And of course, Sylverfyre not going hit points does not even have that option at this point with a maximum hit point count of 117.
But with that higher defense, is able to withstand damage from a little bit more of the enemies here. I didn't see what the final tally was. I don't know if they've gotten up to 98 to be able to withstand damage from damage break the blue dragons. And we have the guardian enemy, the mini boss of the golem, as this spike tile. There are a couple of them in the game. This one is placed just prior to the Dragon Lord. In the vanilla version of the game, this spot is surrounding the town of Cantlin, but it had to be programmed in somewhere. Shout out to McGrew, who put the randomizer together, and Game Boy F9, who also was a heavy contributor of it. Oh, wow. And if it's Sparkover with 98 defense using the strength HP build, then it's probably in triple digits for Sylverfyre.
Yep. He's still at like 107 or 108 right now. Alright, don't forget to hold B here, everybody. Gonna use one regular heal, gonna pop an herb. Gonna take a few steps to regenerate the last of the health, and here we go.
So the Dragon Lord offering a chance to share half of the world. You generally want to say no, because otherwise it will soft lock your game, and you have to reset from your last saved point. So that's where the hold B comes into play, and after getting called a fool, here's the first form of the Dragon Lord, which usually will cast Hurt More, occasionally will attack, and occasionally will cast Stop Spell. Our runners are looking for Stop Spell to be used, so that way, in this case, Sylverfyre can use some herbs to max up, and here we go. Here is that second form.
No ambush is great, which means 2 swings to start are 12 and 12, and so now we're going to start seeing that heal more into attack rhythm for a little bit here. We got a 12 and a 12, so we're at 24. Next one is 9. 33. Looks at that 47, rolls the dice, gets an attack, which is exactly what Sylverfyre needed, takes the gamble double. 10 and a 9. $52 damage so far. 52 and 9 is 61.
A lot of 10s and 9s, just a little bit below average. There's a 13.
74, gonna catch up
74,
again.
yeah. Oh, there's a big 15. That puts us at 89. Above the halfway point here, and 6 heal mores left to go. Double digits grade here. 99.
Gets a double, though. That's real big. 112 now. Maximum breath. 112 adds on 12 more. 124.
So pending a miss menu at this point, this looks to be a free fight for Sylverfyre. There's another 15 for 139.
Takes a deep breath, make sure to menu correctly. 139, three heal mores in the tank. Minimum 7 follows it up, though.
Just to add to the drama a little bit.
146. Next swing is for 8. 152. Gets a double, though. That's 165, as we know is the maximum damage. Sylverfyre is gonna win the race. It's not time yet. Sylverfyre still gotta go home, and, you know.
Get the accolades from the king. So once you see "and thus" appearing on the screen as the last little bit, that will be time.
And of course, Sparkover did crack the death necklace here. She wanted that attack power. And that is time for Sylverfyre.
So with an official PUWP time of 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 14 seconds.
Done.
Alright, I missed the start of Sparkover's fight, but you can see that already she's cracking for 16 here. again, the extra 10 strength adds about, an average of, 3.5 damage to your attacks, I believe?
I want to say, I think 2.5.
Right, there's a 20. I mean, Sparkover's probably got this one locked down pretty hard with the extra damage. Again, her heal mores will take her all the way up to 95 every time, which is fantastic. 14 being a moderate roll for her.
Hello.
And it sounds like we are joined by our race winner, not by terribly much, but we are joined by Sylverfyre.
I'm curious how close it was.
6 Axe Knights.
I see.
Pretty much, yeah. Right. The Sparkover is working on the Dragon Lord as we speak, and with the strength HP, actually rather riskingly utilized the Death Necklace with 127 max HP.
Ooh.
Yep. Went for the spicy play, went to 95. She is starting to get down to the end of her heal mores right now. She's got 2 in the tank right now. She just took a breath for 46, which knocked her down to 47, so she's got to be mulling over her numbers right now to see if a swing or if she can burn the heal more to stay safe here. She is really she's in the tank with this decision here. And she decides to go safe. Dragon Lord takes a swing for 25.
Better safe than sorry.
I mean, she is out of gas now, though. She's got a couple of swings to go here to take down the Dragon Lord. This is it. One swing for the game. But she strikes for 14, and it is gonna be enough, though, as she goes right to the edge of her resources, but she is also taking down the Dragon Lord tonight.
So all told, it looks like it's going to be a difference of just under 3 minutes.
What a fantastic race this was. Back and forth all the way down.
It'll be the low 142s once the prince offers to be the companion here.
And that is time at 142 and 10 seconds.
That felt like the exploration necessary in that seed was a whole lot. Is my take after that seed. Like, I felt like I did a really good job with my mapping, but wow, the amount of required travel there.
Yeah, I mean, all you had to do was go southeast, right?
Yeah, like southeast through no man's land. Like, generally when you're exploring, you want to kind of follow coastlines and stuff so you have landmarks at all. And so you're not, like, leaving things behind too easily. But, like, I followed the coastline south, all the way around, all the way back up north.
Yep, and of course we are joined by Sparkover as well. As soon as she unmutes Discord. But Sylverfyre, I do have one question for you at this point. You did redive Garen's grave for the 2 lower chests. What was the mindset? What was the thought on that dive?
With how low our strength was, I knew that it would take quite a few levels before we would be able to fight the Dragon Lord. And so I was in the mindset that, like, you know, it won't be as optimal as grinding Axe Knights, but I'll be getting reasonable XP while I run down to check these 2 chests. And, like, with how low our strength is, I want the sword now. And that's also why I dove Sharlock without the intention of clearing Sharlock in a single dive. Is that, like, strength was awful. I wanted a better sword than the broadsword.
got it.
Yeah, we had a hunch that as much as ideal as it would be to play the odds, at that point there were 10 available chests that had the sword and 7 of them were in Sharlock. Given how many tough enemies there were in Sharlock, it was kind of like, all right, why not just level up and at the same time see if one of those obscure chests might have Erdrick's sword in it.
Mm-hmm. And I actually knew also that like there were some reasonably good monsters in Garen's Grave as well. So I knew that it wouldn't be like completely null on XP.
It certainly was a good play, and I believe we do have Sparkover here with us.
Hello, I think it's me for real.
Yay,
Is you
too.
for real?
For real. Well, GG, Silverfyre. That turned out to be pretty close.
That was a definitely a very skill testing seed, I felt.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I definitely in the beginning had a lot of early bad luck.
Oh yeah, there were so like
That a
all the
little
early
bit.
enemies had Dragonlord breath, and it's like, please, just want to get off the ground.
Yeah, I think the biggest piece of bad luck for you, Sparkover, was that on the first dive into the mountain cave, you got sent home by golems a bunch of times and decided to give it up and decided to try to traverse the world a little bit differently and left it behind. And Silverfyre got the token on 2 dives.
I think it took me about 3 or 4 dives to get through the mountain cave. It was pretty brutal.
I waited a little while on going in there in the first place, just because I saw how scary the enemies were on level 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I didn't like by the time I went in there, I had hurt more.
Nice. I even died, I think, once with hurt more, but eventually I got there.
Yeah, you caught a armored knight ambush at one point and just got just mauled. You tried to hurt more it, and then it sent you home.
I had one particularly embarrassing death with the princess in my arms.
Oh no.
Literally the one step, like it was like, okay, I exited out of the cast the outside spell while in Swamp Cave. Or maybe I walked out, I don't remember. But then I took like the one step to like go out and then back into Garenham. And I hit an armored knight. I had no MP left. And I failed to run a couple times.
Might have been the only failing to run you had the entire run, though. So
pretty much. It's the only death to failing to run I had the entire run at the very least.
But yeah, so Sparkover, so, do you have any other thoughts on this seed in regards to how you played it or, what went on tonight?
I have to admit, I'm just very tired right now, so I'm sure not all of my decision making was quite up to standard, but, it was still a pretty fun seed. I had this wild idea of counting out the coordinates, but by the time I actually found that you had to go to the swamp cave there, I figured it would just be easier to rescue the prince and, because I was Gwaelin, of course, and go there. Just one question for Sil. What, I guess it's 2 questions. What build were you using and what level did you go at?
I went with an agility build and I went at level 18. No death necklace. It was 130 attack power.
I decided to use the death necklace for fun, and it turned out okay. It was down to the very last attack, but
I took a risk. I took one risky turn attacking at 47 early on in the fight, and it turns out I didn't need it, but had the fight not given me quite so many double turns, I would have needed it.
Yeah.
So, but I got like 3 or 4 double turns, which is kind of on the lucky side, even with that much defense. I had over 100 defense.
Nice. But yeah, definitely a fun seed overall. I'm very glad that, we were able to have relatively close times. I think you got down to when I was on the Dragon Lord. So, that's always probably a good race. Hopefully it was entertaining for everybody else as well. I just wanted to throw, shout outs to everybody who was doing the work. Thank you so much to Ferran and Demerin for doing the commentary. And of course, thank you to everybody else behind the scenes for having such a lovely marathon.
Thanks everyone for watching, and thanks for supporting such a great cause as the Trevor Project. Thanks for supporting us.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that race. I could not tear my eyes away the entire time. I was like, wasn't necessarily on the edge of my seat, but when you got about the 6x knights or whatever away, I was just like, oh no, it's so close. But stay tuned, everybody. We'll have Luca, Born of a Dream, coming up really, really soon. We're also going to the stream's going to go down for just a split second. We're going to switch restreamers, so hold on really tight. We might picnic, but we'll come right back.
And